Indeed. Happy Halloween, Ben. I find myself okay. It's better than...
Fucking OBS. There we go. Let's do that again. Well. Happy Halloween, John.
Yeah, and to you, Ben.
So, you've already told everybody that you are well. So, I hope everybody else watching this, be it live, be it on...
I'm just pissed off now.
Oh, just get over it. It was only me that was muted, not you.
Yeah, but even so, it's freaking OBS a piece of shit.
They could hear your dulcet Scottish tones. They weren't missing out.
Indeed. So what
John,
nonsense? What nonsense are we talking about today?
What aren't we talking about today? Jesus Christ, it's been a weekend.
Indeed it has. It has been a weekend. Did you get hammered this weekend?
I think that joke is well and truly done now, John.
Oh, it's the first time I've said it on the show.
It's the first time you've said it on the show, but it's
it's still quite humorous.
I don't know, and it's also something that I'm noticing that you can't talk about on social media.
Well, see, it seems to be that you can't talk about anything to do with the left on social media.
Well, especially...
I tell you what I did notice, though. In the Formula 1, Hamilton I never heard them use this kind of catchphrase where the engineer goes to him, "It's hammer time." Never said it this weekend. Or they didn't play it.
Trudy asks if I've dyed my hair. No, I woke up this morning and it just looked like this. I don't really know what happened.
Yes, he's dyed his hair.
You'll find out why later.
Oh God!
Because there will be another show today, a Halloween special, if you will, a Halloween special version of All In, and you'll find out why during that. That's either going to be at 8 or 9 p.m. if you're watching live. We're not 100% sure yet. We have to see how drunk we are by those times before we actually go live with it.
I don't have any drink.
You're going to be the sober one.
Possibly.
No, I'll be the sober one too. Don't you worry about that. Trudy says my hair looks fabulous. Thank you very much, Trudy. I appreciate the compliment. I think it also looks fabulous. It took a while, but you know, look at it. It's gorgeous. It's very, very black, isn't it? It was deep black. It was called, and I think it's done its job very well. But John,
Ben,
introduce the show.
I'd like to welcome one and all to this episode 152 of Chasing Dissent Live. 152.
Oh, cameras flicked about a bit weirdly there. Fucking OBS, excuse my language. But anyhow, John. It's been a weekend, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has been a weekend. Shall we begin with...
Why not? New president in Brazil. New president to come in Brazil.
Lula da Silva will be the next president of Brazil, defeating the the Peace and Justice Project call, or the Corbyn _ project call, the far right Jair Bolsonaro. What was exactly? No, I just, as somebody who doesn't genuinely know, what was far right about Jair Bolsonaro?
They didn't follow the WEF guidelines.
So was he actually, in terms of what we are supposed to know politically, is far right job?
Well, this guy's meant to be far left. I think you'll be hard pushed to find the difference.
The reason I ask is because the term far right, it's just lost all meaning. It means nothing to me.
Well, they both have far right, far left. They've both lost all meaning because, in effect, they are the same cheeks of the same arse.
Yes, they are. They are.
They're not even different cheeks. They're the same cheeks.
Yeah. I mean, people go, oh, look at us. We're righteous and far left. Yeah, but you still want segregated, racialized spaces, same as the far right do, right?
In fact, I would actually probably recant my last statement and say the far left are more far right than the right have ever been.
That's an interesting one. Let's unpack that.
Well, the far left, as you said, they want everything their way.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to follow their rules.
Mm-hmm.
They don't brook any criticism.
Mm-mm.
They want to impose state control over everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're basically a dictatorship. And
There's no basically about it.
Well, how much more of a dictatorship can you have, and how much further right can you go?
I do see where you are coming from. I just think they're one and the same, and they just don't want to admit that they are the other. It's as simple as that.
All governments the same, aren't they? I mean, as I continually bang on about, the aims of government are simple. 1, keep you in control. 2, fellow their own nest.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And speaking of control and nests and feathering and things, what's going on with Jeremy Corbyn, the would-be communist dictator that never was?
Well, see, everybody was really, really upset about Corbyn when he was a communist dictator that never got into power.
Yeah. Because
he used to say things that seem to be true now.
Such as...
That's true. Like, it's the US drive to expand eastwards, which lies at the root of the crisis in the former Soviet Republic, argues Jeremy Corbyn. It's time we talk to Russia. And that was in 2014.
But remember, Jeremy Corbyn would say that he's a bloody communist!
But Russia's not a communist country and wasn't in 2014.
No, I know, but people still, the vast majority of people will still view Russia as a communist country. And it doesn't make any sense to me because, not many communist countries are going to have franchises of Starbucks and McDonald's. Granted, they're now McRuskies and Stars and seized by the government, but that's because they pulled out and no other reason. It boggles my mind because it's very clear that Russia, as it stands, is not a communist country. It's very much a capitalist country. But you have many Russians, don't you? They go, oh, we dream for the days of communism. We want to be back on the breadline, and it doesn't make any sense.
Why do they want to be back?
Well, I think with what their view of communism is linked very deeply and rooted very deeply to a view of patriotism, right?
Right.
Because it was country above all, Mother Russia, the Russian Bear, Soviet Union. It was the motherland was God essentially, and now it's that kind of patriotism is gone, and it's not really something that you really see anywhere in the world anymore. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's move on to, speaking of Russia, our good friend in New Zealand. The
Our German friend in New Zealand, Kim.com.
yes, who I believe has got another baby coming today.
Indeed.
Yes, I believe his pregnant wife is giving birth via C-section to their baby today.
Okay.
So, congratulations, Kim, and hopefully you get to see that baby grow up and don't get extradited to US to spend the rest of your life in prison. From me to you. Yeah.
Just to remind me, what did he actually do in order for America to claim he should be extradited?
Mega upload. He did mega upload.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
But where was that based?
Not in America.
No, it was based in. Was it not based in New Zealand?
I believe Mega was his reinvented version of it, but yeah.
Oh, and the other one was it in Eastern Europe and scattered across Indonesia and places like that?
Mm.
Yeah. So what's that got to do with America?
Because a lot of US stuff was pirated on Mega Upload. I mean, Kim.com himself never pirated this stuff.
I mean, if he's not in America and he's not pirating in America, right? Mm-hmm. Surely it's a platform. Mega Upload was nothing but a platform.
Yeah, but this is the Americans and their Team America World Police, and
that's Team America World Police. I knew we were going somewhere with it.
Yeah, you knew where we were going. Anyway, let's look at these texts from these tweets from Kim.com, and they can't be confirmed. But John, take us through them.
Well, Kim.com is saying, how do the Russians know the UK blew up the Nord Stream pipelines in partnership with the US? And it's because Liz Truss used her iPhone to send a message to Secretary Blinken saying it's done, a minute after the pipeline blew up and before anyone else knew. And then he says, iCloud admin access rocks. Okay?
Yeah.
So what he's saying is, he's not, and he goes on the next tweet to actually say it wasn't the phone that was hacked. Mm-hmm. So what he's saying is, our phone's not hacked, but our iCloud was. That's what he's saying.
So her iCloud account was backdoored, essentially, is what this looks like here. Yeah. And from what we are seeing, the Russians are claiming, and I would like to see evidence of this, because if this is true, this is bad, right? The Russians are claiming that Liz Truss sent her from her iPhone a message to Secretary Blinken in the United States. It's done 1 minute after Nord Stream 1 and 2 were blown up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a big claim. It is a big claim. I'm
pretty sure that's what happened.
Do you know what?
I believe. I don't think it's Kim.com that did the hack. I think the Russian intelligence service have got the information, and I think they got it from Apple.
I mean, I'm also not saying that Kim.com did the hack, right? But what I am saying is this: that that's a big, bold claim, because that is essentially state-sponsored terrorism, and it is.
Well, it's actually a declaration of war.
Well, my worry is if this is true and they can prove it, then as a British citizen with children here in Britain, we are going to see retaliation.
Yeah, we will.
And my question has to be this, and this is one that I'm very torn on. If this is all true, and this is real, and this happened, is that retaliation justified? That's the question.
Indeed, that is a question. Well, it depends what form the retaliation takes, because surely the retaliation should not be on the people of Great Britain.
No, you're right.
But I think the politicians are a fair target.
No, I didn't say that. No, I don't think politicians are a fair target. My worry is neither people or politicians. My worry...
Well, hold on. Who ordered the attack?
Now, listen. Let me finish my point. My worry, as a British citizen with British children, is our infrastructure this winter and our ability to do things like heat our home and power our homes. Now, surely an attack on infrastructure means a retaliatory attack on infrastructure. And will that infrastructural retaliation have a knock-on effect for all of us? And that's my worry.
Well, it may. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
We will have
but
to.
It is definitely, I think the whole thing was very ill considered, and I can understand why they stepped in, because she was gagging for a fight from the word go, wasn't she?
Yeah, I mean,
when she was
foreign secretary.
Foreign secretary, she was gagging for a fight.
This is the woman who wanted to arm Taiwan, which would have been a declaration of war against China. This is that woman. This is the same person. So am I thinking that she's absolutely capable of this? Proof's in the pudding, right? As we like to say on this show.
Yeah. And what's Georgia's done? He's just sent B-52s to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean the group. And now he wants to take on China. He wants to decouple China. So that means he's wanting to build and make everything in the States that China currently make for them.
And do you know what? That would actually be a really, really good economical boom if he did it. However, there is one big major elephant in the climate changing room.
Go on.
Well, I just said the climate changing room. If you were to start producing on the scale that China does, then you become a major quote unquote polluter, and you have to let go of your net zero dream. You have to. You've got no other choice. You've got no other option. Or else you decouple from China, who don't give two shiny shites about your net zero dream, and will continue producing en masse, and then you have nothing because you can't produce. So
you have nothing.
So maybe it is time to admit that net zero is a pipe dream. If you want to become champions of industry and champions of manufacturing and decouple from China, then you've got to throw that dream in the bin, and you've just got to get on with the job. Because it would be great for your economy, be an amazing economical boom, and imagine the extra bit of money you could put on the price of things by simply saying, made in the USA.
You
know I'm
but
right.
Having said that, China has just had a massive boom to its global pretensions, hasn't it?
Well, they're claiming to have found a deep water oil field with reserves of 50 billion meters. This massive find in the ocean just off China's coast in Hainan province signals a shift in the balance of global oil power. The find is bigger than the entire US oil reserves. If
that would be interesting.
True. Now, once again, remember, this is the same China that said, we know nothing about no lab. It started in wet market.
Yeah.
This is but the same China.
To be fair, right? I mean, the lab was working in concert with the NIH.
I'm not saying it wasn't, but remember, China's claim, oh, no, we don't know. No, there was no lab. In fact, we just scrubbed stuff. We just scrubbed stuff off records.
And Fauci said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did. Because they don't want to shoulder any blame that they may well have, and that doesn't just go for China. It suits Fauci for China to not be going, yeah, it was definitely us, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Suits him greatly. But, you know, I'm just looking at the next slide, and I'm thinking, how do we even segue there? How do we go there?
Well, I remember the doctor that couldn't understand the woman that was trying to describe something to him, and he asked her to remove the veil because, one, he couldn't really understand her accent anyway, and because she had a veil over her mouth, he couldn't read lips, and I mean, a lot of your communication is non-verbal, and if you can't see someone's face, how can you really diagnose them properly? Well, he can't anymore for 9 months.
This is ridiculous because also,
Mhm.
like, there are doctors in this country who are hard of hearing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
are they going to get the same treatment here? Are they going to get
yeah.
this is ridiculous, as Natasha says in the chat here. So, Trevor here tweets, Sharia UK doctor who told Muslim woman to remove her veil gets 9-month suspension. The dude was trying to help her.
hmm Yeah, well, I mean, see, this is a problem with the UK, though, because the UK, instead of standing up for what's right and its culture and its people, what it does is it tries to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You just can't do that. I mean, if you went to Saudi Arabia or the UAE or whatever, and and flaunted their laws and their customs, how long do you think you would last?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, man. It is beyond ridiculous, as Trudy says in our chat, and I honestly don't know what to say because we just seem lost. We just seem lost as not just a British society, but as a Western society. The idea of Western society and freedom and individual personal responsibility and individual personal liberty, it's just that. It's an idea, isn't it? It's a pipe dream. It's something that never really existed. And
Yeah.
we are finding out more and more and more and more as things go on. It's ridiculous. A doctor should not be sanctioned or stopped from practicing because he asked somebody to remove a veil. That's ridiculous. I mean, let me just play devil's advocate here. What if she had a massive welting boil on her face that needed attention? And he said, well, remove your veil so I can take a look at it. Is he going to get suspended?
Well, yeah, come to that.
Then what's the point in people going into the medical profession?
None whatsoever. What's the point in the medical profession trying to treat people?
But we have a societal standard in this country, and like you said, if people come here, they should adhere to that societal standard, surely. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't wear their veils. I'm not saying they shouldn't wear whatever they want to wear. It's their choice. If they choose to wear those things, then fair enough. But if you're going to a doctor and a doctor needs you to remove it to assist you, and then you go and do this to him, I think you're the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, before we move on, a little something. Adam is watching, and I hope he puts a link in the chat, and we'll put a link in the description after the show's done as well. We have a new Discord server, don't we, John?
Yes, we do.
And it's just a new way for people to keep in contact with us, and we can all. It's essentially a free-for-all chat forum. It's public at the moment. The invite link we will get Adam to put in the chat as we speak, but also it's a way to streamline the after party. So there's going to be some extra areas within the server for people who are patrons and subscribers on Ko-fi. And you will be able to access the after party directly through Discord. And we were playing with it this morning, and it makes it a lot more fun because we can do things like watch YouTube together on it. We can do things like play games together on it. And it's going to be a good bit of fun. And plus, then we don't have to put an after party link out everywhere. It just goes in that one place, and you can all come and join us there. So I hope that we see many of you over there. Let's move on to our Welsh friend, Anna.
So I'm not quite sure what Anna's trying to say here, because she seems to be trying to stir up some kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's like, on one hand, she's saying she was worried she was going to say no to our children getting vaccines and things, and then she's saying no, but I won't say no. I'm finding that this AV rhetoric is becoming a huge concern for her. Now, why is anything becoming a huge concern for her? Surely, it's entirely up to her whether she chooses to do these things or not, and it's entirely up to other people whether they choose to do these things or not. And why would why does it become a concern for her what other people choose to do?
Well, this is exactly what I was going to say, right? And Natasha says in the chat, and I'll address this point as well, she says, isn't she just waving the I'm not an anti-vaxxer flag? Now, this is actually the first part of how I want to approach this. This is clearly Anna trying to open herself up to a wider audience by saying, I'm not what I imagine she's been accused of, an anti-vaxxer. Now, we're not anti-vaxxers on this show at all, right? And if people don't like that, that's fair, that's fine. However, we are very pro bodily autonomy and very pro-choice, and we believe as adults you should be able to make any medical decision for your body that you wish, and you should make any medical decisions for your children that you wish. And we'll go one step further, and once again addressing Natasha, you've no need to broadcast what these decisions are about any medications you do or do not place within your own body, because this is a deeply personal thing. It is a deeply personal choice. I mean, Christ, those lot say I rattle like a pill bottle for all the medications I take, but I don't sit here doing it all in front of you, right? And I don't tell you about all of them all of the time. But the point of the matter is, this is clearly self-promotion. This is clearly, look, guys, I'm the gatekeeper of alternative media, right? And as the gatekeeper of alternative media, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Well, nobody cares. People can accuse you of being an anti-vaxxer, and you just respond and say, you've got no idea what you're talking about. If people have listened to our stance, they know what our stance is. And I'm sure Anna's probably broadcast the exact same stance as us many, many times. So, like, it just seems to be a dog whistle. A dog whistle to say, look, I'm not associated with them. Because her posts have been getting more and more vitriolic, actually, over the last few days against what she calls truthers, right? And, okay,
you see, I don't like that term at all, because I consider myself to be a pro-truth person. Yeah. I like to hear the truth.
Yeah, me too.
And I go in search of it. But what's a truther? It's like they make words up to describe people because they don't want them to be in their gang, you know. And
would you like me to say something that might actually rub a lot of people up the wrong way?
Well, it depends. Remember what channel we're on.
Yeah, no, it won't get me banned.
All right, okay.
But it might rub some people up the wrong way. Now, one thing we are deeply against here on this channel, and I think in our lives, is groupthink. Right? Groupthink is the idea that you subscribe to a set of ideals that the group subscribes to, and if you deviate even 1% from what that group or that ideology ascribes to you, then you are evil, you are this, you are a shill, you are this, that, the other. And we ascribe that to the far left a lot when you look at the woke and things like that, right? They attack you and do. The truther community, is it any different?
Well, what is the truther community? This is the thing I'm not sure about.
I honestly, it just seems like when you go to the deep-rooted heart of some of these people, it seems like you've got the people like the ones that say everyone's a Freemason, everyone's a tranny, everyone's this, that, and the other. They consider themselves truthers. And if you say that's not true, then they go, you're a government agent. You're this, you're that, and the other.
Then they call you a shell, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. If some government administration were paying me, I wouldn't be sitting in this room right now. That's for sure. You know, we'd have built a much bigger studio than what we have in our respective parts of the country. We would be able to afford to keep the lights on. Nobody's paying us. We just espoused our personal opinions because we take each individual thing as it comes, and we come to a conclusion based upon what we think is the most logical answer. Whereas if you're in a certain community, if you're stuck in a bit of groupthink like that, then you have to espouse the view of the group, of the community on every single issue. And that bothers me. That bothers me greatly. And that's why we don't join groups. That's why we aren't members of this, that, and the other. That's why, because we're not going to be beholden to anybody else. We're not going to be beholden to anybody else's rhetoric. And we're not going to be beholden to anyone else's way of thinking. Right? Me and John disagree all the bloody time.
No, we don't.
But that's what is so. First of all, I understand some of the points she's making, but she doesn't have. She's going the wrong way about it. She's being very nasty, actually, at points as well.
She's quite an angry person. I don't like her at all.
I mean, like me personally, she has been harangued, harassed, bullied, targeted repeatedly. So I understand why she could be angry, right? Because I've been through it myself. In fact, I'm still going through it now. My personal troll who creates accounts just to attack me has come back. You know, I understand it, but she needs to compose herself a bit better. Anna, if you are ever listening to this, just compose yourself a bit better, and you are not the gatekeeper of alternative media.
No,
So
you are
stop
not
pretending that you are. Please, because we could all get along if you would just stop espousing superiority. And that's what you do. And that's
But you work for the BBC, don't you know?
Oh, and ITV, don't you know? Yes. Yes.
I work for the BBC, don't you know?
Look, we're open to discussion, as Natasha says, on every single situation. And also, we are very much open to having our minds changed. We always are. You know, as Stephen Crowder does. He does his segment, Change My Mind. If you can have a long-form, clear-cut discussion, bring evidence to the table, and show us that one of our opinions is wrong, we will take that on board. Yeah. We've got no problems with that. Shall we move on to another opinion that's really dividing the internet?
I am. I'm really not quite sure what to say here. Probably not very much.
I'm not sure what we can say anymore on this situation because it's the midterms. I'm really not sure what we can say on the Paul Pelosi, David DePape situation, or David DePepe or DePape. I don't really know how to say his surname. The illegal migrant from Canada, I believe, who is he's probably in custody still as we speak for attacking Paul Pelosi with a hammer. Now let's just go through the facts of it because the facts have changed.
No, let's not go through the facts of it because we actually don't know the facts, right? So I think I don't think we can go through anything here because the stuff that's come out is open to many interpretations.
Yeah.
And it's just a mishmash just now. I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of this at all, right? Ever, okay? But I've got a pretty good idea in my head what happened, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to let you make up your own minds. But being so close to the midterms, if we start giving any interpretation of this, we're going to be accused of trying to sway political votes. So
yeah,
and I know we don't have a huge American audience because we don't have a huge audience, but we do have people in America that listen to us and watch us. So I think we'll let it slide and see what happens after the midterms. But it's an interesting one.
It is an interesting one, and then, like I say, there's one little thing I will touch on because 1 minute both people are in their underwear, the next minute the attacker's no longer in his underwear, according to the police. Like you said, the story's so mixed, it's so convoluted, it's so muddied at this point that we have absolutely no idea what went on in that house, and I don't think we ever will. If he gets Epsteined in the jail, then we know something's up. That's all I can say. But until that time, we don't know. Natasha says, like the man in the Queen's bedroom. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. And speaking of Democrats and
Chuck Schumer has to be in there straight away, doesn't he?
Oh, good old Chuck, Nancy and Chuck. They're like a double pair, aren't they? They're like Bonnie and Clyde, Nancy and Chuck.
So why's he had death threats?
Well, I must say,
I think he's lying.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that Chuck's lying, right? I mean, I'm going to say that his history with the truth is complicated, shall we say? But I'm not going to say that he was indeed lying about this. Chuck Schumer.
Oh, I think he is. I think he's just a liar, and he's doing this for clicks and likes, isn't he? He's doing it for votes.
Yeah, he could well
He's
be.
trying to sway the election by saying things like this. Because what he's trying to do is he's trying to get the sympathy vote, and he's trying to paint anybody who's at all right wing in a really bad light. So yeah, I think he's just he's capitalising on the situation.
And do you know what? Okay, so let's take the entire situation at face value. Let's say everything that's been alleged is true. An attacker broke in.
Don't go into.
But let's say the entire Democrat narrative is entirely true on the Paul Pelosi situation. Okay, it's tragic and it's disgusting that you lot would then use it to try and get votes, because we are once again, we are big believers in individual rights, freedoms, choices and sovereignty and individual responsibility, and those actions, according to your own narrative, were the actions of one man. So stop using it to paint normal, hard-working people who are struggling with the price of gas, the price of bills and the price of food as some kind of evil. That in itself is fucking evil. So stop. Shall we move on?
Yes. And China are still making movies. They're still making... I mean, look at the sound guy, right? So you see the sound guy, there's a crew in that bus to the left-hand side.
Yep.
And there's a camera crew there as well. And these three actors, two of them are dragging the one in the middle who's pretending to be incredibly sick.
Yeah.
But they all walked into position and then they all walked off again after they'd finished filming. They're still making movies, and I mean, this is how it all started, if you remember. It all started with Chinese people dropping dead in the streets.
Yeah, which never happened. It wasn't real.
Yeah, it wasn't real. It was a movie, and everything you see these days is a movie.
Yeah, no.
Including what's going on in Central Europe.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And those movies forced places like Italy to implement their first restrictions, and then that was a domino effect, and it was done, as far as I am concerned, deliberately to crash the Western economies, and either the West were complicit or they simply fell for it. It's one or the other.
Mean, if they fell for it, shame on them, because China has come out of this better than we have.
I mean, how many times have you seen someone drop dead, and I'm saying that in inverted commas, but break their fall with their arms?
It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
If you're unconscious, if you're dropped dead or you're unconscious, you don't put your arms out to help yourself, to save yourself.
No, you don't. You definitely don't. And
you've seen people on TV these days falling over and collapsing in public events. They don't put their hands out as they fall down. They
gone.
Just go down like a sack of tatties.
They're gone. And believe me, as someone who has passed out myself from pain and other things, when I go, my arms don't stop me, and I end up with bruises on my face.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. Speaking of bruised
egos, perhaps.
And bruised cases.
Yeah.
What's going on here, John?
Well, it would appear that that the Twitter board and the executives were somewhat economical with the truth when they provided evidence to court.
So Elon Musk put out a tweet last night. Wachtel and Twitter board deliberately hid this evidence from the court. Stay tuned. More to come. That's a very interesting tweet there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could you read those tweets for us there, John? Or not tweets, but messages from...
Well, I mean, the first one is, but also, lol, if Amir continues to BS me, my escalation route as Amir's OKRs are entirely based on fraudulent metrics, and he doesn't care and may actively be trying to hide the ball. And then Yoel Roth replies, literally doing what Elon is accusing us of doing.
I'm assuming that comes to bots and spam accounts. which is what the
Yeah.
entire court case was predicated upon. So it looks to me,
Yeah.
in my personal opinion, like Twitter knew more than they were letting on, and then decided to be very economical with the truth when it came to the court case, and purposely suppress, hide, maybe even delete, because we saw all them mass deletions, the bots going forwards. It's very interesting, that, isn't it? Very interesting indeed. And it's quite funny because of the golden parachute thing. Is that in here, or should we just talk about that now?
Just talk about it just now. It's not in there.
So it's alleged that Elon Musk fired Parag Agrawal, Vijaya Gadde, and that other executive with cause.
Segal.
Yes, Ken Segal?
Ned
Segal, that's the one. Fired them with cause and purposely before the 1st of October to ensure that they don't get their golden parachute payouts of around between, I think it's $15 and $80 million.
The 1st of November.
Yeah, and because he fired them with cause, it nullifies and voids. There's going to be a lawsuit, put it that way.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lawsuit.
But he's not going to let this go. He's going to keep digging.
He's going to keep digging. And did you see the... I know you have, so I'm not really asking you this, but did you guys see the email that Elon got from Twitter?
Is this, that's the one about how to start managing.
It's mandatory, in fact.
It's time for you to do your Managing at Twitter 101 course. You've got 30 days to complete it. This is like the kind of shit you get when you work for a bank and you have to do all the due diligence courses, even though you don't fucking handle money, even though you don't speak to customers, even though you have no part of the bank. You've still got to do all these stupid fucking due diligence things, which is ridiculous. Waste of time.
Do you really think he's going to do it?
No, he won't. No,
of course he won't do it. I mean, he's been on the record now and said that there is no CEO on Twitter, and his official title is Chief Twit.
Chief Twit, yeah.
And also, they've been called Tweeps, the people that work at Twitter.
Yeah.
And he's changing their official role titles to Twits.
Twits. He's calling them Twits.
He's changing their role title to Twits because he said it's more poignant.
Well, it's probably more accurate.
And speaking of social credit,
yeah.
This is from China.
Of social credit, yeah. So
this is your future if you don't fight back. By the way.
Yeah, that says that. I mean, look at that device. It's like one of those tills out of Tesco.
It's like an Oyster card reader.
Well, yeah, but it's got the wee camera on it and everything. And you scan your QR code and present it to the camera, and and if it comes up yellow, the alarm goes off. You don't get in.
No travel for you.
And then you get taken away to a quarantine camp.
Well, I'm not. The thing is this solely about the coup, or is this also to do with social credit?
You know, it's a bit of both.
It's a bit of both, because obviously if your social credit score is too low, then you can't travel on public transport, you can't book a flight, you can't book a hotel, your kids won't go to the school that you want them to go to, and you can't have the job that you want, right?
That's it.
And this is your future if you allow things like CBDC, central bank digital currency, to control what and where you can spend money. This is your future, and I am not sure I feel sorry for people who sit back and blindly allow this to happen. I'll fight it tooth and nail. We'll fight it tooth and nail, because we don't want to be controlled. We like having our own opinions and thoughts and things like that. Ollie says, hey guys, similar note, Instagram is suspending thousands of accounts as we speak, and when you try and lock it, you just get a loading logo. Elon hack, Meta seems to be having a lot of problems. Let's touch on that a moment as well, right? Let's just move on to that for a minute, because it's not in the list, I don't think. But just before we came live on the show today, we were banned from Instagram.
What?
We were banned from but not just us. I think everyone was banned from Instagram, John. Permanently. What? So I got a message on our Instagram.
What do you mean, everyone?
I mean, it's now going off like wildfire on Twitter, right? So just before we came live on the show today, I was on our Instagram account. I was putting out an advert for this show.
Yeah.
I then got a thing saying your account is permanently suspended.
Right.
And then I clicked the disagree with decision. And it asked for my email address, which I provided, to send me a code. So I got that code, and I put in that code. Then asked for my phone number, which I provided. Right, and some people won't. That's entirely up to them. It then sent me another code. So I put in that code. And that's it. There's nothing. Can't load the account, can't do anything. It's can't use it. Now I'm not sure if it's an error, because it's happening to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people as we speak. Same thing.
Sounds like it's broken.
It's either broken or it's hacked. Or they are just completely clearing house and don't want tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of people on their platform. Like Ollie's, I believe it's happened to him as well. And for those of you who don't know, give Ollie some love, because he is our regular co-host for Disney over on the other channel, and he's been very unwell, so we haven't been able to do that show lately. But you're absolutely right. I don't know what's going on. We can't report any further than that. All I can say is at this moment in time, we are still currently banned from Instagram. Cannot get on it. So apparently there's a tweet here from Instagram comms, and Adam says they are working on it. So it's either broken or it's a hack. Yeah. I'm leaning towards hack.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards hack. But right now, as I say, we cannot access our account.
It'll be a Russian hack.
Maybe indeed. Shall we move on to our next news story?
Yeah. Inflation came from fucking nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. We have no clue where inflation came from.
I don't even know if I want to address this.
That's nice lady from the EU thinks that inflation just came out of the blue.
These are the people that are these are the people that are making decisions over your lives.
Yeah.
These are the people causing inflation, I might add.
Yeah. It just appeared from nowhere. I don't have a clue. It just poof, inflation.
Yep.
I mean, we were doing everything great, and then boom, and bang, inflation. Yeah.
See my little skeleton here?
Idiots.
See my little skeleton here?
Yeah.
He could run countries better than these people.
Yeah.
And he's a plastic skeleton, and I can hit him in the head. But he could run countries better than these absolute dumbasses.
I tell you,
that's what they are.
Yeah. Talking about dumbasses, right? Comic Relief, right, have been doing this for years, giving money away to corrupt people in Africa for year after year after year. I mean, this was 2020, right?
It's not just Comic Relief that does this.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. It's every charity and everybody that deals with Africa. There's a corruption tax involved there as well, because we used to send devices out to Africa, right? I mean, a major oil company used to send devices out to Africa, and it used to send 3 at a time because at least one of them was going to disappear. It's just, the whole thing's ridiculous.
So, I mean, to be fair, if you've got £356,699 and you're the director of an African aid group, your money's going quite far. I will say that.
Yeah.
So, you've got to respect the grift, as people would say. And this is always going to happen. And, do I feel...
And this is why I don't give to charities.
No, this is why I don't give to charities. If I'm gonna be charitable, I will give somebody the thing that they need, right? Like, for example, if somebody said to me and I had the money, I need some food, I'd say I'd go and buy them some food. Mm. But I don't give to charities because what people don't understand, or maybe they do and they're oblivious to it, is when a charity, for example, Oxfam or WaterAid or all these channels, put a TV advert on. That's what your donation paid for. The advertising spot, the advertising space, the admin in the background to create that. That's not free. It's like you see an Oxfam shop in the high street. They're still paying rent. They're still paying business rates. They might be paying them at a reduced rate, but they're still paying them. And that money has to come out of the things you purchase in the shop or the donations that you give. And I'm telling you now, those advertising rates, the salaries of directors, the embezzlement from these people, this all comes before money getting to where they say it's going to go. And that's what you're paying for when you make that donation. A small percentage, if any of your money, will actually go to where you think it's going or where you intended it to go. And so charities, for the most part, in my opinion, are calm.
Yeah.
Now, this is a story I don't know how we can broach.
Well, it's quite simple. It's an administrative error, and what they've done is they've given 36 kids an adult dose when they should have had a children's dose. Now, why we're dragging children with this particular device, I don't know.
No, I don't.
But children aged between 5 and 11, they were given an adult dose. And it wasn't just one or two, it was 36 of them. So this is an administrative cock-up on a grand scale.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, I don't know what's going to happen to these kids. You know? I just don't know.
No, and I don't know either. And it's worrying. It's worrying that, it doesn't matter what medication it is. If you've given children an adult dose, there's a reason. There's a reason when you take Calpol, for example, when you give your kids Calpol, there are different doses for different age brackets. Because if you give too much of a dose of something, the children can get very ill.
Yeah.
So I hope that medically these children are being watched, and I hope everything is being done to ensure that they are okay. And that's all I can really say about it. And speaking of cock-ups, what's going on with the bastard son of Elton John over there, John?
Well, the bastard son has. She made a claim that almost all of Scotland's energy was generated by renewables, and that's not quite the case.
It's not nearly the case, is it, John?
Well, right. So of the energy that Scotland uses, 68% of it is generated by renewables. Okay. But you can't use that energy.
It's sold,
Sorry?
It's sold, isn't it?
Well, you have to sell it because at some points you're making too much energy during the day, right? Or when it's windy. So you have to get rid of that energy.
Absolutely.
But then when it's dark, which it's now going to be dark in Scotland for what? I think we're lucky we get about 8 hours of daylight now.
Yeah,
So,
it'll be dark now. The clocks have rolled back. It'll be dark by about 4 or 5 p.m. here too. Right?
Yeah, and it doesn't get light, and as the months go on, it won't get light until about 9 o'clock in the morning, right? And then it's dark by 3:30. So there won't be a lot of solar going around.
Yeah.
And so you have to buy energy that isn't from a renewable source because nobody's got any storage for it.
Well, exactly.
Right?
And we don't have any gas storage anymore.
Well, we don't have that, but we don't have any massive battery banks that are storing all this energy. No. So all this renewable energy is either gone to waste or it's been sold off, right? So you can't claim that you're producing 100% of your energy from renewables when you are not.
No.
And when you can't use it. So off the usable energy that Scotland uses, something like 23% is provided by renewables.
Yeah.
That's a big difference between 100.
Nicola Sturgeon has never been very economical with the truth.
She's not very bright either.
But it's not just Nicola Sturgeon, is it? It's all politicians. They don't know what the truth is, so they just sit there and they spout off shit. And the fact that people actually still trust these people, the fact that people still vote for these people, it boggles my mind, because I'm in my 30s, you're now in your 60s, and it's not like anything has changed over the courses of our lifetimes. Politicians have always been snivelling, sniding, conniving, lying assholes. And
Mm-hmm.
people still vote for that type of person to rule them and lead them and make decisions for them. And the thing is, the thing that boggles my mind even further is that most people have this perception of politicians, and yet still they are trusted to make decisions. Oh yeah, I think he's an arsehole, but I'm going to let him decide where and when my money is spent. I'm going to let him continue to raise the amount of money that he takes away from me. I don't understand it. It's such a separation. And it doesn't make any sense in my mind. This is why, until there is somebody worth voting for, somebody who is going to make proper pledges and proper decisions to actually improve the lives of the vast majority of people, I'm not voting. Nobody to vote for. And do you
There's
know
no
what?
credible candidate.
Mr. Brewster in Brewster's Millions. None of the above, baby. None of the above. You know, Richard Pryor was a bloody prophet in that movie, and that's who you should vote for. None of the above. These people need to go. The system needs to be upended. The system needs to be rooted out. Because, like I said, the vast majority of people think this of politicians. So if you think this of somebody, stop giving them the power to make your life worse.
Indeed.
Speaking of arseholes who made life worse.
Yeah, speaking of politicians. So, old Barack Obama, he's not doing too well when it comes to crowd control because...
This wasn't real.
It wasn't real?
No, this was an audio track layered over the top.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so this wasn't real. It
All
was
right, okay.
it was funny.
It was funny.
It's a very funny meme that's going around. So this video is going around of Barack Obama in a crowd, and there's an audio track put over the top of people chanting Joe Biden, right? It's not real. It's not real. It's unfortunate because it's funny, but it's not real. I have to, we have to be honest on this show.
Yep.
And it is funny and it's worth watching if you see it in your feed. But remember, don't report something as fact until you know it's fact. And in this case, this is a splice. This is an audio track spliced on top of Barack Obama. Let's move on to how to stop squirrels and other critters from eating your pumpkins.
Brought to you by the New York Post.
I will drink to the New York Post. You are indeed the gift that keeps on giving, my friends.
Some of the advice is quite incredible. Okay. So, I mean, it says bring your pumpkins in when you're not around, because then that'll reduce the chances of them being damaged by critters. The other one is build wire mesh cages and put them over your pumpkins.
Both very, very reasonable ideas, but at the same time.
But the top advice is basically pepper spray.
What? Cover your pumpkins in pepper spray. Just
yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me remind you that in order to make and carve a pumpkin, it is already damaged beyond repair. Right?
Yeah.
And it is going to rot. It is going to molt. It is going to become disgusting. So my personal opinion, the New York Post, let them eat pumpkin. Because it's the circle of life, baby. A beautiful, beautiful thing.
Speaking of the circle of life, these are indeed some of the best Halloween costumes I've ever seen.
Are you going to be wearing a Halloween costume on tonight's show, John?
Maybe.
You're going to go. You're going to go as your character from Redcon 1, aren't you?
Maybe no.
Oh yeah, no, these are beautiful little Halloween costumes.
They're good.
Did you see the one dressed up as the kid dressed up as the statue with the traffic cone on his head?
No.
Yeah, no. I saw one on Twitter yesterday. It was the Glasgow statue.
The Duke of Wellington.
The Duke of Wellington. So the kid's completely black clothing, everything, and he's got the traffic cone on his head, and he's got a horse's head, right? And of course, the woke jump in and go, "Oh, what are you doing? Why are you getting your kid to do blackface?" Oh. What are you talking about?
It's not blackface. He's
It's
dressed as
like-
a bloody statue.
But like they associate the color black with racism. They
Yeah.
just, if they see the color black, racist, racist. I don't get it. I don't get the mentality of these people, and I don't know how they actually get through a day.
Yeah, without being offended.
Well, it's like the Starbucks barista, isn't it? Did you see that video?
Can't possibly work for more than
Doing 8 hours, 8 hours making coffee.
8 hours. I tell you, it's, you know what pisses me off, right?
What's that?
Is the other ones when you get the NHS ones, right, where the people are going, how better to spend a 13-hour shift on with such and such, as if a 13-hour shift is unusual or bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was a cop, we did a 63-hour week in one, and that was a regular week.
Well,
So back shifts were longer than
let me interrupt you
8
there, John.
hours.
Let me interrupt you there, because working on this show, we work more than 63 hours a week.
Yeah, we do. But
And
see,
we make no money.
See, once you've lain in a field for 18 hours and had only a fucking Mars bar, then you can start moaning about the amount of time that you spend at your work.
No, I completely agree with you. And people think, oh, no, they just sit on camera for an hour and chat shit. No, we don't. Right? We do not do that. Making this show and the associated videos and running the social media accounts and all of the associated stuff that goes along with this is, between the two of us, we are working 150, 200 hours a week. Right? Yeah. We don't make a penny. Easily. We don't make a penny an hour, I would say.
No, we don't. We make nothing, mate.
And we continue to do it because we think that what we've got is something good here, and we would like to entertain you, and we would like to cover the news and perhaps give you a little bit of a different perspective on things. What we don't want to do, and I'll repeat this on every single show, is tell you what to think, what to believe, or tell you that we are 100% right, because we are open to people coming on, having a conversation with us, convincing us, and changing our minds. John looks like he needs a little bit of an afternoon nap.
Yeah, so the last slide is, do you remember this was only a year ago?
I do remember that.
And what at the time, right, what disgusted me more than them putting cardboard cutouts on seats at football games wasn't so much them doing that.
Yeah.
It was the fact that people sent their photographs in and paid for them to do that.
Jesus Christ. Jesus
really?
Christ.
You think, what the hell? What the hell did we become?
Do you know what? If I were a football fan, and I'm not, but if I were a football fan and I wanted to go and see my team live, I would just keep turning up at the stadium. I'd just keep turning up at the stadium and say, well, I'm here now. There's nobody else in there. Let me in. And do you know what? If everybody else had done that, if crowds of tens of thousands of people had gone, well, no, we want to actually go watch this game, they'd have had two choices. They'd have had to cancel the game, or they would have had to have said to the government restrictions, well, they're here anyway.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot we could have done, and there's a lot that nobody did.
The biggest problem with the last 2.5 years, the biggest problem with the reason that our economy is now completely in a toilet, crashed and tanked, is because these people that paid to have their cardboard cutouts sent in didn't say no.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it. These are literally the cardboard representations of the reason that our economy is in the floor.
Yep.
Right there. You've got it. Let's take a nice smiling picture as we refuse to stop the government trashing businesses, trashing our livelihoods, trashing... I wonder how many of those people on those cardboard cutouts have lost everything. Probably a few of them, actually. Probably a few of them. And they just sat there whilst everything... There's that meme, isn't it? The little dog. And everything burning around it. And it's just going, this is fine. That's these people. That's these people. And the thing is, the fire around them, they were responsible for. And that
Yep.
fire has engulfed me, it has engulfed you, it has engulfed you. Right? These people did it. And we can't let them forget it, because they're the same type of people that go on social media and complain that the economy has crashed, and complain that they've lost this, that, and the other. But the only way you could have stopped it happening is to have said no. But we are here, and
Hey.
that is that.
That's it.
So, John,
Ben.
one more time, I would like to let people know about the Discord, and if Adam is still watching, I would like you to provide that link in the chat one more time. We are going to be moving the after parties there, so we would appreciate people coming and joining us. Also, we've been talking, and we've not confirmed yet, but we're thinking about playing around with the idea of 1 or 2 shows a week being a little longer, but only the people who are members being able to watch the second half. It's something that we are looking at, and just a little bit of extra content to provide to the people that do support us. And, you know, we really do appreciate the people that do support us. And if you can support us, then please consider doing so at patreon.com/Chasing Dissent or Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Chasing Dissent. And if we confirm, we'll confirm people who are supporting us and who are members, and they'll have access to certain areas of the Discord that others don't. So, that's that. And if you've been watching...
We just need cash. I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
And if you've been watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all of that good stuff. We will be back tonight. What time, 8 or 9, John?
I think 9.
You think 9?
Yeah.
We'll be back tonight for a more outrageous, more uncensored, more uncut discussion chat. Maybe go for a couple of hours. There might be some music involved. We're going to have a bit of a laugh, going to have some fun, and we hope you join us here then. John, over to you. You got a dog outside, mate.
And with that, I'd like to thank you all for attending this episode 152 of Chasing Dissent Live with your hosts, John and Ben. Good day to you all.
Goodbye, everybody.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience still. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Mwah! Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.